Yeah, I think back to that first conversation we had, and you know, trying to find an environment that where you felt protected and supported, that you had a family that you could actually rely on because you'd been through these kind of ups and downs early on in life. And so you're dealing with this kind of strange, subliminal, and at times very obvious judgment from your peers on these tours and in this environment. And so you're looking left and right to your team, and one by one, they're picking off as well.
And
you're just like, what the fuck? Not to take you there, but it's important to document it because I think that, you know, you really have been an instrumental influence in helping to break this kind of toxic principle of not supporting strong female voices in the arts in particular.
Yeah.
Was the lowest point when Jeremy left? Was that the moment when it was like, I don't know what the fuck to do now?
Yeah, I quit the band because I was like, I can't. Well, two things. When Josh and Zach quit, we had already not been good for so long that I think Taylor and Jeremy and I knew it was going to happen. And we kind of respected it. Like we had enough conversations. It was like, yeah, this is the right thing for them to do. What happened afterwards was just immaturity and sensationalism, you know, and probably a lot of like people trying to cover their own ass financially. But like, and I wonder sometimes, like, was that all something that Josh really thought was the right thing to do, or was that legal advice or what? Like, remembering that we were kids is very important for me in that healing process, you know, because we didn't know what the fuck we were doing. But when Jeremy left, we were a little bit older. We had experienced more success, which made everything feel even more twisted. And he had a child, and I wanted to be part of that. You know, I just felt like this was it. Like we were all family. And when it fell apart again, it was kind of like, well, what do I have to live for? Like, I don't, and I certainly don't want another press release coming out and then to hear what people are going to have to say about me because they're going to think it's my fault yet again. And I just didn't want to deal with it. So my way of dealing with things at that time was to run. Yeah. That was low. That was the lowest point. And Taylor and I I'm so grateful for that time and Taylor's patience with me. He would sit with me at a coffee shop or we'd go to lunch and just talk about it or talk around it. He never forced me back. There
was a moment, right? That was the moment when Josh walked in and you and Taylor were sitting in the cafe.
Yes, man.
Because here's the thing, you mentioned this really subtly in the After Laughter interview. I remember it. And it never really landed because I didn't know the full story. So I was just like, oh, cool, you hung out with Josh. Great, let's move on to the album. Song number 8, you know? And now I truly understand the relevance of that moment because of the timing of it, the way life works, right? Like that was when it was all going down, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he obviously Josh would not have known what we were wrestling with because it was very private at the time. And I had only just moved back to Franklin like a few months prior to that. Here I was like thinking, I'm going to get married. Band's going to make another record. It's going to be great. We just won a Grammy. And then life, like every part of it fell apart. Every layer was just crumbling. And
within how long from that idyllic realization that I won, I did it, I outran my shame, and now I'm married, successful, and I'm good to go. And I guess you're in California at this point. How long between then and moving back to Franklin was it? What was the time frame?
3 months.
Whoa. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're lucky because people go on for decades thinking it's all good and then it falls apart.
Thank you. Oh, thank God. Because I don't want to know who I'd be if I hadn't already learned some of these lessons. I'm sure there's like far more lessons to go, but these ones were really, really crucial to me. Just, I don't know, like handling a lot of shit and also like getting closer with people who actually are really, truly in my life forever. My family, even like I wasn't even as close with my family as I am today before I got married.
Is that because ultimately they recognized the mistake that you were making, but didn't have the heart to tell you?
Yeah. Yeah. And in some cases they tried to tell me, but you know, cause there was a lot of hurts. There was a lot of stuff that should have pointed me to the right direction. But I thought, I'm going to show all of you who couldn't stay married. I'm going to show you guys how you and man up and own your shit.
And at that point, marriage becomes an idea. It becomes an idea, and it doesn't become an experience or a feeling or an emotion. It's just a concept.
Yeah. And it truly is a choice. It's an active choice. And I don't even mean just marriage, but like the partnership piece. It's such a choice. You have to dig in, and it's painful. I think maybe more times than not. And then you get to the redeeming parts and it's like, oh, that's why I've gone through this. And I am like,
the good stuff is deep.
Out. Yeah, right. I'm holding out because I know, like, look, I've been jaded long enough, and I had my fun with it in public very much, just being jaded about, being single or feeling about love or men or whatever. And it's funny. Like, look, I can find my identity there. Sure. I can be comfortable in that. Sure. I was raised by a single mother. I'm fine in that arena. But yeah, I think the truth is I want more than that. I want more than what I tried to settle for, in which I was essentially just doing it for a broken part of myself. I wasn't doing it to learn. I wasn't doing it to grow. I was just trying to cover up something.
Well, if the shoe fits, right? If that's the reality that you think your life is, then rather than at that point, you just inevitably decide that I may as well wear the jacket. I may as well be that person who's out there, like, singing those songs, telling those stories, and being that person for those people. Right.
I've done that for so long. And it's not to say that art that we've made was not genuine. Everything we ever did, that was my most evolved self at the time. That was me trying as hard as I could to get to the good stuff, to get to the bottom of what I was feeling. But, I do think some of it comes with age. I think I couldn't have said some of this stuff before because I just didn't have access to it. And therefore, the choices that I have made up until now, not all of those were really well-considered choices. They were fly by the seat of my pants, like what's going to soothe me today, right now. And that doesn't help you grow.
Got to grow and live your life in public is such a crazy unique thing. And it really is the long road of the artist to find a way to tell their truth, because it only really makes sense at key points along the way, like with considerable time in between, that you can sit here now having finished Petals for Armor and say, okay, it's okay that I said those things. Mm-hmm. Could you have said what you've said in the last third of this record before you wrote Simmer even? Like even when you wrote, right, exactly. So the time frame between being able to write these songs and start this song is really the duration of the album. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm giving my editor a continuity nightmare, by the way, because every time they cut back, I've been watching these things because of the FaceTime. There's no 3 cameras. Every time it's like this. Right. It's like this. And then the next edit is like this. And next edit's like this. And next edit's like this. I'm just literally like 7 different looks.
So how's this for your continuity? I couldn't have written any of it. And like it all happened in a very similar time frame to how we're releasing it. So part 1, a lot of it was written in the bleak winter, and Pure Love, which is the first, like the opening track of part 3, which now everyone will have the whole album. Pure Love was written in May, and like the record comes out in May, and it's just so fun how it's panned out, because I do think that the stretch of time that it took to get from Rage to Pure Love or Crystal Clear was a 5 or 6 month process of beating it out of myself. Like really, like, it felt like hammering steel or something.
To write a song like Pure Love, to write a song like Crystal Clear, a song like Taken, this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 songs that really, you've written about a new idea of what love can mean that isn't so centered in the past and isn't so centered in, it's like you're coming out with a clear vision. Is it hopeful? what are you drawing upon to get to this place where you're writing these unbridled missives about love and what it means to you?
Well, I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to not base all my movements in fear, trying to not project my own past onto my potential future or onto anyone else. Like I'm trying to respect where I came from, but like not be there anymore. And it's hard to do. Like one day you feel like you're fine and you're moving through, you know, maybe I'm in therapy and I'm like talking about the month that I decided to get a divorce and how hard that was, and, you know, or unfaithfulness and feeling betrayed. And how am I ever going to trust someone again, you know, when they leave for a little while? Because all my issues go back to abandonment, you know, and divorce. Or, you know, it's like, you know, when you play games with babies and you do this and you go, peekaboo, you know, like you teach them that you're still there, even when they can't see your eyes. Like that's the whole basis of that game, is essentially to give them security in the playfulness of your relationship. But when you experience something as hard to understand as a divorce at such a young age, like that just goes into every fiber of your being, and it sends off these alarms that say when someone walks out the door, they never come back. And I have to take responsibility for what I do with those feelings.